former New York Congresswoman Nan Hayworth from the Independent Women's Forum, and Stephen Sigmund. He's Senior Vice President of Global Strategy Group and a Democratic strategist. It's good to have you here. Thanks. Stephen, let me start with you. What do you think of Nancy Pelosi's response?
Look, I think it's the response that she has to give right now, right? I mean, if she did put this up for a resolution, it would get defeated.
Right.
And this is a Democratic House, and Donald Trump is losing on the
well, it would get defeated unless she said to her caucus, everybody should vote for it.
Yeah, not when 70% of the country disagrees with him on the shutdown, and they blame him more than Democrats by 20 to 25%. So, look, I think there's going to be a lot more chapters of this between now and 6 days from now. So I don't think we've heard the final word on it, but right now it's just part of the brinksmanship of the shutdown.
Right. In the meantime, workers who are working but not getting paid and looking at another paycheck being missed, Nan, this is a real mess. But I guess politically, for both of them, for President Trump and for Nancy Pelosi, politically, if that's how they're thinking, they're dug in because their bases both want them to do exactly what they're doing.
Yes. And the impasse will be essentially lost before it's won, because one side or the other, and they're all monitoring the politics very finely, both their base and the middle. They don't want to be toxic for the 2020 elections. I think the president, and I know I'm not alone in this, I think the president should go to the heartland or go to a border state like Texas, or go to Iowa, go to Indiana, my native state, and present his State of the Union to the American people, because he is very much a man of the people. And I think this is a great opportunity for him to do that.
I know, I've thought of that too. And obviously it used to just be written, Jefferson did it that way. But there is something, Steve, about a president being able to be in the chamber and to address the nation. And believe it or not, it's one of the few remaining institutions that bring Americans together. The next one will happen a week later on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I think
when most of us are united against
maybe you can do it at the Super Bowl halftime.
It does feel, I understand not doing the State of the Union during the shutdown. I actually understand that. And what Nancy Pelosi said is, but we want you to come at another time when we can work on that date. But do you think she means that?
Yeah, I do think she means that. I mean, look, I think without a government shutdown, absolutely, this is part of the functioning of the government, which is what's sad about all of this, right? I mean, a State of the Union should be delivered in Congress. I mean, obviously that wasn't true for a long time. Starting with Woodrow Wilson, though, for 100 years, the president has delivered the State of the Union in Congress, and it is one of the things that brings us together and makes it clear that we are a nation of laws and of government. So I actually think that if he did it somewhere else, it would look too political, frankly.
Well, and I also wonder, too, part of the thing of the State of the Union is you get primetime coverage, everybody stops, everybody looks. I'm just going to hazard a guess here. I'm going to predict that if the president goes and gives a speech somewhere else, that the networks are going to run with regular programming and not do a primetime speach for him.
It could be, Dana, but, looking at this, Speaker Pelosi does run a risk, and you know this, Steve, that, he has... she has a couple of dozen districts around the country that are not really in sync with her. She runs the risk of looking like same old Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, but I think we have a live shot of where she is going to be speaking any moment now. So we'll allow you to keep talking. There we are. We're just waiting for her to come, because she's going to have to. You're right. She can't let this go for too long.
The president offered an important starting point on DACA, which is a big. Important concern of the Democrats. And Speaker Pelosi has refused to even start negotiating. So why should we anticipate that should the president say, okay, that's it, we're going to open the federal government up without having any wall funding in place? Why should we trust that she would somehow come to the table in good faith when she won't even come now, and he's offered an important provision as a starting point on negotiations?
Right now he said $5.7 billion or bust. I mean, whatever else he's negotiating, the number's $5.7 billion.
But we know that's a negotiation.
So unless he says it's a negotiation, then there's really nothing.
Well, and also I do think that when the Democrats started looking at the details of the bill that McConnell is going to try to move, that, as Chuck Schumer, the Senate minority leader, said, there's some poison pills in here on the asylum seekers, on TPS, that 3 years for a permanent wall doesn't make a lot of sense. And so there are two pieces of legislation in the Senate right now that they're going to take votes on them. They're not going to pass. But I've been saying this whole hour that you saw a couple of places where there are ways that Democrats are signaling that there might be movement. So I'll hold you in suspense, and we'll be right back.